Elias Novak's breath crystallized before his eyes, each exhale growing weaker than the last. The emergency lighting in his environment suit had dimmed to a faint red glow, barely illuminating the frozen cavern that would become his tomb. The mission, a calculated strike against Unitex's illegal mining operation on Erebus, had gone catastrophically wrong. Now he lay trapped beneath 30 meters of ice and shattered equipment, betrayed by someone on his own team. Oxygen level, 12%, announced the synthetic voice of his suit's AI. Estimated time remaining, 23 minutes. Elias laughed bitterly, the sound echoing through the cramped space. "At least I won't freeze to death," he muttered, watching the temperature red-hot plummet. At minus 87 degrees Celsius, his suit's heating system was fighting a losing battle. Already, numbness had claimed his extremities, creeping slowly toward his core. He thought of Earth, of the blue skies he might never see again. His sister Mira would mourn him, perhaps the only one who would. The Interstellar Coalition would disavow any knowledge of his mission, classifying his death as another tragic mining accident on this godforsaken moon orbiting Proxima Centauri. Comm systems, offline. Attempting reconnection. Failed. Elias closed his eyes. The darkness behind his eyelids was no different from the darkness of the cavern. The mission data was secure in his implant, evidence of Unitex's ecological devastation, their experiments on indigenous life forms. All of it would die with him. "Should have listened to you, Mira," he whispered. His sister had warned him about taking this assignment, had sensed something was wrong from the start. Now he was paying the price for his hubris. A sudden, sharp pain lanced through his chest as his body struggled against the cold. The calm that had settled over him began to fracture, the primal fear of death surging through his veins. He didn't want to die here, alone in the dark, millions of kilometers from home. Oxygen level, 10%. Estimated time remaining, 19 minutes. A tear froze on his cheek. The sensation in his fingers was gone completely now, and his thoughts were beginning to jumble, consciousness slipping away. He fought to keep his eyes open, but the darkness seemed to thicken, pressing against his faceplate like a living thing. Then he heard it, a low, resonant vibration that shook the ice around him. At first, Elias thought it was another hallucination, a trick of his oxygen-deprived brain. But the sound grew louder, more insistent, a deep, guttural roar that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Seismic activity detected," the AI announced, its monotone voice incongruous with the situation's urgency. The ceiling of the cavern trembled, sending small shards of ice cascading down. Elias tried to move, to shield himself, but his limbs refused to respond. The roar came again, louder this time, accompanied by a rhythmic pounding. Something was breaking through. With a thunderous crack, the ice ceiling split open. Chunks of frozen water crashed around him as a blinding light poured into the cavern. Elias squinted against the sudden brilliance, his eyes unable to focus after hours in near darkness. Through the jagged opening descended a figure unlike anything he had ever seen. Massive and powerful, with skin that emanated a soft, pulsing glow, it landed beside him with surprising grace. As his vision adjusted, Elias made out a distinctly female form, tall and muscular, with features both alien and somehow familiar. Her eyes locked with his, fierce and intelligent, glowing with an inner fire that matched the bioluminescent patterns dancing across her skin. She was a Theran, a species thought to be extinct on Erebus for over a century. The Theran warrior reached toward him, her two powerful hands easily breaking through the debris, pinning him down. Her warm touch penetrated even through his suit, the first heat he had felt in hours. As consciousness began to slip away, Elias heard one last sound, his suit's translation system attempting to process her words. "Found you, finally, chosen one." Then darkness claimed him completely. Consciousness returned to Elias in waves, each bringing with it sensations that seemed impossible. Warmth, movement, the rhythmic sound of breathing, not his own. His eyes fluttered open to find himself cradled against a body radiating heat like a living furnace. The Theran warrior moved through the blizzard with impossible speed, her powerful legs carrying them across Erebus's treacherous terrain. Her skin pulsed with bioluminescent light, blues and purples that created a protective aura against the darkness. "You're awake." Her voice was deep and melodic, the words in perfect standard English. Your life signs were fading. Elias tried to speak, but his throat was raw from the frigid air he breathed during his ordeal. The warrior adjusted her hold on him, one hand gently supporting his head. "Save your strength. My sanctuary lies ahead." Through the storm's fury, a structure emerged, organic and crystalline, blending seamlessly with the moon's natural formations yet clearly artificial. The entrance spiraled open at their approach, sealing behind them to keep the brutal cold at bay. Inside, the temperature was a paradise compared to the exteriors. The warrior set Elias down on a platform that conformed to his body, providing perfect support. She moved with calculated precision, activating systems integrated into the walls that hummed with ancient technology. "You?" Elias managed, his voice barely a whisper. "How did you find me?" She turned, her tall frame silhouetted by the chamber's ambient light. Her features were striking: high cheekbones, a strong jaw, skin the color of burnished copper, with luminous patterns that shifted with her emotions. Her eyes, large and expressive, studied him with unnerving intensity. "I am Kada," she said, approaching with a vessel containing steaming liquid. "The last guardian of my clan on this moon. I have been tracking you since your arrival." She helped him drink. The liquid tasted of herbs and minerals, instantly soothing his raw throat and spreading warmth throughout his body. "Why?" he asked, strength gradually returning. Kada knelt beside him, her proximity sending waves of heat through his recovering body. 3 generations ago, humans saved my people from extinction when a stellar flare destroyed our world. The survivors sought refuge across the stars. My ancestors came to Erebus. Her hand moved to a pendant around her neck, a metallic disc bearing the insignia of the first contact mission from a century ago. "We owe a life debt to humanity," she continued. "But more than duty brought me to you, Elias Novak." His surprise at hearing his name must have shown on his face. "I monitored your communications before they failed," she explained. "I know why you came to Erebus. You fight to protect worlds from exploitation, as my people once did." Elias struggled to process this information. Unitek said the Therans were extinct here. A convenient lie. Bitterness edged her voice. "They hunted us when we interfered with their operations. The few remaining retreated deeper underground. I am the last to maintain the old ways, to honor our debt." She rose, moving to retrieve something from a recessed compartment. "But you are not merely any human." Her eyes met his, intense and unwavering. "Among my people, we believe in cosmic resonance, souls that call to one another across the void." Returning to his side, she placed a small device on his chest. It hummed, projecting holographic medical readings. "When your ship entered orbit, I felt your presence like a beacon." Her voice softened. "I did not merely find you by chance, Elias Novak. Among all humans, I chose to find you." The implications of her words hung in the air between them as the healing energy from the device seeped into his damaged tissues. Outside, the howling storm raged on, but within Kaida's sanctuary, Elias felt something he hadn't experienced in years. He felt safe. Days passed in Kaida's underground sanctuary as Elias recovered. The chamber, which had initially seemed small, revealed itself to be part of an extensive network, the remnants of a once thriving Theran colony. Technology beyond human understanding sustained this hidden world, drawing geothermal energy from Erebus's core. Elias sat cross-legged on a raised platform, watching Kaida prepare a meal from cultivated fungi and synthesized proteins. Her movements were fluid and deliberate, her tall frame moving with predatory grace. The bioluminescent patterns across her copper skin shifted constantly, a language unto themselves that he was slowly learning to interpret. "Your body temperature has stabilized," she observed, bringing him a bowl of steaming stew. "The damage to your lungs is nearly healed. Thanks to you." Elias accepted the food, their fingers brushing. The contact sent a pleasant warmth up his arm. "I still don't understand how your people develop these abilities. The bioillumination, the thermal regulation." Kata settled beside him, her own portion balanced on her knees. "We evolved on a world of extreme temperature variations. Those who could not adapt perished. Evolution doesn't explain your technology or how you speak my language." A sound emerged from her throat, something between a purr and a chuckle. "My people are quick learners, and we have had a century to study humans." There was something in her voice, an undercurrent he couldn't quite decipher. Throughout his recovery, she had been both caretaker and enigma, revealing little about herself despite his questions. "Why did you really save me, Kata?" he asked directly. "Beyond this life debt your people claim." Her luminescent patterns intensified, pulsing with emotion. She set aside her bowl and faced him fully. "Among the Theran, there exists the concept of Sheril, the resonance between souls." Her eyes, with their vertical pupils, dilated slightly. "When we sense this connection, we are drawn to it, regardless of distance or danger." "You're saying we're what? Soulmates?" Elias couldn't keep the skepticism from his voice. "Your human concept is simplified, but not entirely incorrect." She leaned closer, her natural heat enveloping him. "From the moment your ship entered Erebus's orbit, I felt your presence. Not merely as a human, but as you, Elias Novak." Her hand moved to his face, hovering just above his skin without touching. "May I show you?" At his nod, her palm rested against his cheek. Instantly, his mind filled with sensations, emotions not his own cascading through his consciousness. Loneliness, recognition, purpose, desire. The kaleidoscope of feelings left him breathless. When she withdrew her hand, the connection lingered like an echo. "That is Sheril," she whispered. "What I feel, you feel. What you feel, I sense." Elias stared at her, seeing her truly for the first time, not as an alien being, but as a person whose soul somehow complemented his own. The revelation both terrified and exhilarated him. "Can all Therans do this?" "No." Her patterns shifted to a deep blue. "Such connections are rare, even among my kind. Between species, they are nearly unheard of. Yet here we are," he said softly. "Here we are," she agreed, her eyes never leaving his, "chosen for each other across the stars." Her proximity awakened something primal within him, a desire that transcended physical differences. As if sensing his thoughts, her luminescence intensified, bathing them both in a gentle glow. "Your people will come looking for you," she said, a note of sadness in her voice. "Not soon enough," Elias replied, and cautiously reached for her hand. The warning came without preamble, a series of vibrations that rippled through the sanctuary's crystalline walls. Kaida jerked upright from where she'd been showing Elias ancient Theran star charts, her skin flashing crimson with alarm. "They've found us," she hissed, moving with sudden urgency to a concealed panel. "Unitech security forces. They're using sonic probes to map the caverns." Elias felt his heart hammer against his ribs. After a week in Kaida's sanctuary, he'd almost forgotten the danger that had brought him to Erebus. "How?" "This place is shielded," you said. "They followed your heat signature." She withdrew two objects from the panel, a Theran energy weapon and what appeared to be a ceremonial blade. "When I carried you here, we left a thermal trail. I thought the storm would obscure it." The implications hit Elias like a physical blow. "This is my fault. I've endangered you." Kata moved to him with frightening speed, her free hand gripping his shoulder. "No, they have hunted my kind for decades. This confrontation was inevitable." The vibrations intensified. Somewhere above them, machinery was boring through ice and rock. "We need to move deeper into the network," Kaida said, thrusting the blade into his hands. "There are passages they cannot detect." Elias tested the weapon's weight, surprisingly light for its size, the handle conforming to his grip as if alive. "I won't run and hide while you fight my battles." Her expression softened momentarily, the patterns on her skin shifting to a deep purple. "This is why the Sharil chose you." The moment passed quickly as another tremor shook the sanctuary. "Come, we fight together." They moved swiftly through hidden corridors, Kaida's bioluminescence providing the only light as they descended into Erebus's heart. The temperature rose with each level they traversed, the moon's geothermal energy becoming more pronounced. "How many?" Elias asked as they paused at a junction. 6, perhaps 7. Her head tilted, listening to vibrations imperceptible to human ears. "They carry cryogenic weapons, designed to neutralize my thermal abilities." A grim understanding passed between them. Unitech knew exactly what they were hunting. "There's something you should know," Elias said, his voice low. "The data I carry, it's not just about illegal mining. They're experimenting on Theran DNA, trying to weaponize your thermal regulation abilities." Kaida's eyes widened, then narrowed dangerously. "You came here to stop this." "I came to expose it." The interstellar coalition would shut them down if they knew. A blast of frigid energy struck the wall beside them, coating the surface in instant frost. Kaida shoved Elias down as she returned fire, her weapon discharging arcs of thermal energy that illuminated their attackers, armored figures advancing with mechanical precision. What followed was a desperate retreat through the labyrinthine passages, each chamber becoming a brief battleground before they were forced onward. Kaida moved with lethal grace, her knowledge of the terrain giving them a crucial advantage despite being outnumbered. In a vast cavern housing ancient Theran technology, they made their stand. Back to back, they fought with a synchronicity that defied their brief acquaintance. When a stray blast caught Elias in the leg, freezing the flesh instantly, Kaida's roar of rage echoed through the chamber as she eliminated 3 attackers in rapid succession. As the last assailant fell, Kaida gathered Elias in her arms, her body temperature rising to counter the cryogenic damage to his leg. The pain receded under her touch, replaced by an intense warmth that spread throughout his body. "You fought well," she murmured, her face inches from his. In that moment of shared danger and triumph, the Sharil between them intensified. Elias raised a hand to her face, tracing the luminous patterns that now pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. "Kaida," he whispered, her name both a question and an answer. Their first kiss was like touching lightning, energy cascading between them in waves that made the very air shimmer with possibility. Dawn broke over Erebus's frozen landscape, the distant sun casting long shadows across ice formations that sparkled like diamonds. From the elevated plateau where they stood, Elias and Kaida watched the Unitech facility burn, plumes of smoke rising into the thin atmosphere. "The evidence is transmitted," Elias confirmed, checking the portable comm unit they'd salvaged from one of their fallen pursuers. "The Coalition received everything. The illegal mining operations, the genetic experiments, the attempted genocide of your people." Kaida's expression remained stoic, but the patterns across her skin pulsed with complex emotions, relief, vindication, and something deeper that resonated through their Sharil connection. "After a century of hiding, my people can reclaim their place on this moon," she said softly. Her eyes turned to the sky, where a faint light grew steadily brighter. "Your rescue ship approaches." The words hummed between them, heavy with unspoken implications. After 3 weeks together, fighting, healing, discovering each other, the moment of separation loomed like an approaching storm. Elias took her hand, their fingers intertwining. Since their first kiss in the aftermath of battle, their connection had deepened beyond what either believed possible. Physical differences that once seemed insurmountable had become beautiful expressions of their uniqueness. In the privacy of her sanctuary, they had explored those differences with wonder and growing passion, finding harmony in their contrasts. "Come with me," he said, the words emerging before he could reconsider them. "Earth has Theran enclaves now. You wouldn't be alone. And what of my duty here?" Her free hand gestured toward the horizon, where the remaining Therans would now emerge from deep hiding. "I am the guardian of ancient knowledge, the keeper of traditions nearly lost." "Then I'll stay," Elias countered, turning to face her fully. "My mission is complete. The coalition can function without one field operative." Kata's luminescence intensified, bathing them both in a warm glow. "You would abandon your world for mine. I found my world when I found you." The truth of his words resonated through their connection. Besides, the coalition needs an ambassador to the newly liberated Theran colony of Erebus. Who better than someone who understands both cultures? A sound like distant thunder rumbled in Kata's chest, the Theran expression of profound emotion. Her powerful arms encircled him, lifting him effortlessly as she pressed her forehead to his in the traditional gesture of her people. "The Shiril has never been wrong," she murmured. "Our paths were meant to converge." The rescue ship was visible now, breaking through the cloud cover as it descended toward their location. But instead of separation, it represented a new beginning, a bridge between their worlds. "They'll have questions," Elias said, nodding toward the approaching vessel. "About us. About what happens next." Kata's expression transformed with a smile that still felt new and wondrous to him. "Let them question. We have already found our answers." As the ship touched down on the ice, they walked toward it together, not as human and Theran, but as two beings who had discovered something extraordinary in the vastness of space, a connection that transcended species, a warmth that defied the coldest depths of the universe. In the darkness of Erebus, they had found light in each other. And now, standing between two worlds, they would forge a path that belonged uniquely to them, guided by ancient wisdom and new possibilities, bound by a choice that had been written in the stars long before either of them existed. The Shiril had brought them together. Their love would keep them so.